Good evening, guys, from the UK. I am back for another content for tonight, and this is one of the most requested content that I need to create. And since I am off for 4 consecutive days, then I thought about doing this vlog tonight. This is actually about the deciding factors for you to choose in which trust or hospital are you going to work in. A lot of the applicants are actually, they feel very excited by the thought of just going and working abroad and living abroad, especially in the UK. However, the problem is because they are too enthusiastic about going abroad, they tend to forget about the specifics of the job that they're going to work in, and then eventually they end up feeling, oh, I shouldn't have taken this offer, stuff like that. So for tonight, I'll be giving you some guides on what are the things that you need to consider when choosing your employer. I do hope this is going to be very helpful because I've only been here for a few months in the UK. I never worked in a nursing care home, just so you know. I am currently working in a trust, so most of the things that you will hear from this video is related to working in a trust. I can tell you firsthand what are my experiences, what are my considerations before I accepted this job offer here in London. I'm going to give you some bits on how is it working in a nursing care home, although I haven't really experienced working in there, and I'm just going to base it on the comments that I'm reading from online. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so I do have 7 things that you need to consider when choosing your own employer. So let's start with location. So as you know, the UK is made up of 4 parts, which is the England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So you should decide first in which location or parts of the UK would I want to work in. And for me, I chose to work in the southern part, which is in England, in London. You should consider, like, do I want to live in the city or in the countryside? So those are 2 different things that you should be asking yourself. So try to research about the area near the trust. Do you think the area is clean? Does it have a lot of people? Is it close to a lot of establishments? Would you want that for yourself? Is it near the nature? Are there a lot of beaches around the area? Are there a lot of trees or parks around the area? Because if you're that type of person where you want to be close to the nature, then you definitely would want to be living in the countryside. However, again, I'm currently living in London. It's a city, but there are still a lot of parks in here, and you could still see a lot of greeneries, which you could enjoy on your day off. So one more thing is that flats in the countryside are actually bigger when it comes to space compared to the city. So I think I'm just very lucky that I found this flat where they offer a big space, unlike in other flats here in London wherein, you know, the space is not really enough. Like in your room, you can just fit in your bedroom, 1 wardrobe, and a mini space for your study table and your chair. For me, I do have here my double bed. I can put in my study table, my chair. I have my wardrobe. I can still put in another wardrobe if I want to. And I have actually a space for doing my exercises if I want to work out inside. So I think those are the things that you need to consider when it comes to the location. Second one is the job responsibility or the job offer. So what do I mean by that? I think this would depend on what do you really like doing when it comes to nursing. As you know, there are different areas of nursing where you can work in. You can be a community nurse, you can be a mental health nurse, you can be a ward nurse, a specialty nurse, or an ICU nurse, an ER nurse. So where do you really want to work in? For me, I based it on my experience. Of course, it's a very big factor considering this job because I am more familiar working in a ward. That was my most recent experience before coming in here, and I do feel more confident and competent working in a ward. So I accepted the job offer because I think I would be more effective in carrying out my responsibility as a nurse in the ward. Now, if you've been working in the ward and you're, you know, fed up with the job, you can probably consider, you know, selecting another area of nursing. It really depends on the employer as well if they will consider that, but most of the employers would, of course, consider the most recent experience that you have, again, because the competency matters with them. One thing that I've noticed was that most of the nurses are, again, they're very enthusiastic when it comes to working abroad, that they tend to forget to to do what they really want to do. So some of them, they would be like, okay, the only availability in the hospital where I am currently applying to is as a general nurse or a ward nurse, when in fact they could do more, like do hemodialysis or can be an ER nurse. Just for the sake of going abroad, they take that job even though they don't really like it and they're not familiar with the area that they're going to work in. I don't think that would be good for you as an individual, because when you finally come here, there's going to be a big adjustment, not just with, of course, the environment, but the work itself, the responsibility, the accountability for your patients, the drugs that you're going to be using, the procedures. So that's going to be a very big adjustment for you if you tend to work from one specialty to another, or work from one area to another. I think that's going to be a big shift in your career, but it really depends on you. If you're that type of person who loves taking up challenges, then yeah, do so. At the end of the day, it's still you who's going to decide for your career. Next consideration is, do you want to work in a trust or in a nursing home? Alright, like I said from the beginning, I've never experienced working in a nursing home in my whole life, in my whole nursing career. So I'm really not that person that you can ask about that. Currently, I'm working in a trust, in a tertiary hospital or a big hospital. I guess, like, because I've worked in different clinical settings, right? I would say whichever area you work into, there are going to be challenges. It's not going to be easy. Because I think most of the applicants think that, okay, I'm gonna go to this area because this is an easier job for me, or the pay is better. But the thing is, I don't think it works that way. Like I said, each areas of nursing has its own challenges and difficulties. Based on the comments that I've been reading online, working in a nursing home, the nurse and patient ratio is actually not that good. Like, you have more responsibility, you have more patients to cater to. And like working in a trust, like for example, working in a ward, you can only have maximum of 8 to 9 patients. In my current ward, I'm only working with 4 patients, maximum of 6, so that's a really good ratio, right? The thing is, I guess if you're used into taking care of multiple patients, then you can go for either trust or nursing home. At least you have 2 options, right? But if you think like the gravity of work in the nursing home is too much for you, then probably working in a trust would be better, at least for now. If you really want to work in a nursing home, maybe you can go to the UK first, work in a trust, after some time transfer to a nursing care home, or vice versa. If you want to experience working in a nursing home, if you think you can do the job, then work in a nursing care home, and after some time transfer to a trust. In my job, I do have a 3-year contract, so I have to finish that. I do have an option to not finish that, but the thing is, I would have to pay for the remaining months or years that I won't be able to finish. Other employers actually buy out the contract. That means you don't have to pay that by yourself, because your future employer is going to pay for it. It's just that I don't think that's going to be good for your CV or your resume, that you worked in a specific hospital or nursing care home for example 6 months or 1 year, you weren't able to finish your contract, and then you transfer to another one, and in the future when you finally wanted to be promoted, or you get an opportunity to work in another job, and they ask you, why did you leave the hospital, or why did you leave the nursing care home? What would you say? Would you say it's because the job was really difficult? I don't know. It's just my personal opinion that for me, I would rather finish my contract. I would try harder to finish my contract because I want consistency when it comes to my CV. So that's just a tip for you. So another consideration that you need to do is the background of the trust. So you would have to research about the trust. Do you think they're good when it comes to taking care of their employees? Do you think they're fair based on the research that you're doing? I would advise you to visit the website of the trust itself and, read the visions and the mission. You don't need to memorize it, but, just based on the mission and the vision, you're going to find out what is the goal of that hospital. You might also find some testimonials from the employees, but apart from that, I would advise you to Google some authentic comments from the employees and patients or clients who have visited that hospital. I'm not saying that what you will read in the website of that hospital is biased, but it wouldn't hurt for you to do more research, like the more authentic ones, right? The thing is, look for more information as much as possible. Do you think this hospital provides a good opportunity for nurses to be promoted? Do they give trainings or continuing education for the nurses? Because that's really important here, at least for me. I guess one more thing that you have to consider when researching about your trust is, do they follow a specific standard or policy based on the trend, the current trend? Because if your hospital is following an old trend, then it might be difficult for the employees to adjust to that, especially for new graduates or those younger professionals who wanted to come in here. Of course, your education is more up to date, and what if you end up in a trust or a hospital wherein they do follow an older version of taking care of patients? Do you think you can somehow adjust to that, or do you think that would be difficult for you? I hope you know what I'm talking about, because I'm not sure if I'm making any sense in here, but yeah. Of course, it's very important that you ask your friends who's already in the UK. Ask them if they know this hospital or employer that you are being offered to work in. It would be better because you would have a clearer view on what kind of hospital are you going to work in. They could also provide pictures or videos of the hospital itself. They could provide feedback based on their friends as well, people that they know who work in there. So yeah, do a lot of research about the trust or the employer that you're going to work with. Next consideration is the weather, of course. Are you ready to experience the crazy weather here in England or in the UK? Is that something that you can handle for a long time? Especially for people in the Philippines, we do have a tropical weather in there. We just have it wet and dry season. So come winter here in England, it could be very difficult for you to adjust. I would say it's possible for you to live in a winter season. They do have heater here anyway, and we can wear coats and jackets, but do you think you can handle that? Because my dad actually wanted me to work in Canada, but I declined it. I didn't pursue that just because of the weather. Can you believe that? But for me, being comfortable in the place where you want to work and live in is very, very important to consider. I don't think I'd be able to, enjoy going outdoors if the weather is always cold, because I like being outdoors. I like going in the park. I like exercising, running. So it's just, I guess snow it's just not for me. The sixth consideration is the cost of living. So of course you have to look into the area where you are going to work. Do some research about how much is the rent for a flat or a room. That's actually what I did before I came in here. I started looking for different areas here within London, like near my trust. How much is the rent? Because I need to set my expectations about how much do I need to allot for the payment of my house or my room, right? How is the accessibility to transportation, like trains and buses? Here in England, the most commonly used transportation is the train. So is your flat going to be near the train station, or do you have to walk a long way in order for you to get to the train station? Because I think it can really save you a lot of time and energy if you are living nearby the train station or the bus station. So that's one of the things that you need to consider. Also, are you nearby the airport? What if you want to travel sometime, you want to go out of the country, and you could really save some money with Uber if you want to travel from your house to the airport. Another thing for Asian people is, are you near the Asian stores? For me, I'm not really craving for Asian food, so I guess that's good. There are several Asian stores here, but not a lot. As you know, Asian stores here are expensive, of course, because there are only a few stores that are available. In my area, I need to walk like 10 to 15 minutes from my house to get to the Asian store. And like I said, since I'm not really craving for Asian food, then that's a good thing for me. But if you're that type of person who is used to eating Asian food and you don't like trying any new cuisines, then you might want to search within the area if there are several Asian stores. Although I believe there are like online shops where you can order Asian food, but I'm just not really sure because I haven't tried that. The very last consideration would be the pay, of course. So how much is the job offer? If you don't know this, I'm gonna have to let you know. Most of the employers would offer you, this is for NHS by the way, it's different for private hospitals or employers, but for NHS they do offer the same amount of salary for a band 5 regardless of your experience. They would base it on the range that the NHS have set for band 5 nurses. If I'm not mistaken, it's starting from 21,000 plus pounds annually, but there are actually few employers who pay for the experience of the nurses. And just like my trust, they paid for my experience. Again, I do have like about 10 to 11 years of experience prior to coming here in the UK. And those are clinical, by the way. All of those are clinical. So I think you have to take your time and do a lot of research about which employers or hospitals do offer that, because it's going to give you a lot of opportunity to save money. Imagine if you're earning 21 to 24,000 pounds a year, minus the tax and the pension, minus your rent, your bills and everything. Your net worth is going to be very little, right? And I don't know, I just feel like if you really want to earn as much, you should do a lot of research about employers who pay for an additional for your experience. When it comes to the pay, you also have to consider, of course, the benefits that the employer would want to give you. Are they willing to pay for your NMC Part 1 and 2 registration? Are they willing to pay for your CBT exam? Are they willing to pay for 2 sittings in the OSCE? So are they willing to pay for your visa and your flight ticket one way? I think those are the things that you need to consider as well. Those are very, very important, because some of the employers would only pay partially for that, but I guess most of the employers are willing to pay for everything. So that's also one thing that you have to look into. I'm gonna give you a link on where you can actually check your net worth based on the job offer that you have, just so you have an idea, how much money can you get monthly. Could be monthly, weekly, daily, or annually after the taxes. Also, if you're interested to work in my trust, this is not a promotion in any way, but I just want to let you take advantage of the opportunity that if you have an experience working in clinical areas for a lot of years, then it would be better to work in my trust, I guess, because they would pay for those experiences. I'm gonna ask you to watch my previous vlog about that, my experience with my agency and the trust that I'm working in. Alright, so those are the deciding factors that I think you can use as a guide when deciding which trust, employer, hospital, or nursing care home should I work in. I'm not sure if I missed something, but if I do, just feel free to leave comments below. I do hope this video has been helpful again, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send a message in my socmeds accounts. So I think that would be all. I'm gonna enjoy my cup of tea. I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea for now, and I'll be seeing you some other time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.